What's Sporty Spice up to? Who? Sporty fucking Spice. What's she up to?
I don't know.
Exactly. How about Posh? You know what she's doing?
I don't understand.
Making clothes for anorexics, all right? Not exactly a growth market. And baby, you know what she's doing? Fuck all. Not even page 6 of the Daily Mail. And Scary Spice, up to her eyeballs in lawsuits and sex tapes. Ginger, on the other hand, has released 3 albums: Passion, Schizophrenic, and Scream If You Want to Go Faster. They'll all make your ears bleed. You see, when they're apart, they're absolute fucking rubbish. But you put them together, they're the goddamn fucking Spice Girls.
How do you know so much about the Spice Girls?
Look, the point is that we're all shy by ourselves. We need each other. We need each other. We're fucking dead in the water. Now, you guys can beat the living fucking shit out of each other. I really don't care. It ain't gonna change the past.
Is for everybody, not just for the few. Anyone can share VD with someone nice as you. VD is for everybody, darling, have no doubt that
And welcome to another episode. I am Daeron, as always. We have a special guest, and first, my co-host, Vanessa.
Hi, how are you?
Me, I'm good. I hope you were doing well.
Yes. Trying to stay cool like everyone else
Yeah.
this summer.
Still on the quest for a quiet fan. I had to turn my fan off. And, but a little bit down the border near Mexico way, our special guest, Lance of the Horror Returns Dynasty. Or,
Dynasty. That's a strong word.
conglomerate,
No.
stable,
Oh, I
network.
don't know. Fuck ups. How about
There we
that?
go.
Just
The
a bunch of
fuck-ups.
fuck ups.
The fuck ups at the blank returns. Flagship is the Horror Returns. Welcome back, Lance.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys inviting me, and it was so much fun rewatching these 3 episodes. In my opinion, this 3-episode story arc is probably my favorite so far of both series, easily.
Yeah, I enjoyed them.
We'll get to that a little bit more into that soon. We are here talking about The Boys TV show, episodes 4, 5, and 6, and a little bit of the comic
Of
here and
season
there.
1.
Of season one.
1.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are continuing when you last left us.
Like a comic book.
Vanessa continuing on with the series was the car was going off the cliff, and we had to find out if the interest in the show jumped out in time or plummeted into the ocean. I thought that it was going to go into the ocean, and I would have to find someone else to talk about this with me, because Vanessa, as you said before, you generally are not a fan of comic book type things. So we were
Correct.
taking a chance having you in there. But you did say that you liked it more than you thought you would.
True.
You did say that. At that
And-
point, you had only seen the first 3 episodes. You did not watch any further at that point?
Correct.
Okay, and then tell us what happened.
Then I started thinking about it. And I continued to watch the series and watched all the episodes of seasons 1 and 2. And lo and behold, here we are. You suggested last episode that this is what you wanted to do, and I surprised you by saying, oh, I had already seen these episodes.
What a shocker.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really talk about it afterwards.
No, we didn't. We didn't. Yeah. But I had not read any of the comic beforehand.
And then you found out that you could try it out for free.
I
Right?
did. Yes. Unfortunately, I did not get to read all of Volume 1 because work a little crazier than usual this past month or two, and so I've been constantly in catch-up mode, and so but I was able to get to at least some of it.
Enough for
And-
some comparison.
Yes, exactly. And kind of about to where most of the action is equal in episodes like 1 through 6 of season 1.
Okay. Did they, I forget, at that point, no. They haven't done the airplane thing in the comic book as far as
No,
you've
they have
gotten.
not.
Okay.
They have not done that yet. But I do know it's later in the comic.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I've been past it, but I'm in the 3rd omnibus, I think, now.
Yeah.
So I went back through and refreshed my memory, but as you said that you hadn't gotten too far, I did not over-prepare. And is there anything else you want to say real quick before we ask Lance, who was not with us, his sort of experience coming into the boys, or discovering the boys, or getting into the boys, or they all kind of sound like double entendres, but you know what I mean.
It really
the TV
does.
show and comic book. If Standards and Practices is listening or something like that.
I'm sure you can get an explicit label, right?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Of
we know better.
course.
It'd be too hard to edit for an everybody rating.
Have you ever heard my fucking mouth?
I think we're safe.
Yeah. I always put the explicit label on there. That just happens naturally around here.
Fucking A. Anyway, sorry.
So Lance, how
Lance.
familiar are you with all of the series on TV and the books?
Well, I mean, the series I'm all caught up. That's what I was introduced to first, and then I went back and read some of the omnibus. I think I read like 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. But there was so much, like we were talking about earlier, with the Tech Knight character, and it didn't necessarily focus. The books that I read anyway did not necessarily just focus on the 7. Did you find that to be do you guys find that to be the case, or have you guys mostly read the books focusing on these characters?
From what I've read so far, I think they reference these other groups occasionally in the show. Like Starlight says she was in Young Americans, and she talks about Drummer Boy.
Yes, right.
And later on, at the end of season 2, there's go ahead. I heard somebody breathe like they had something to say.
Well, and they also have the Teen Kicks, whatever. So
Mesmer
they
was
have
in
that,
and stuff.
like, yeah, they have, and that Pop Claw was in.
Capes for
and A
Christ.
Train had been in. Yeah, exactly. They I know they talk about all these different groups in both the show and the comic, but I haven't gotten into where they super explore much of. Well, they started exploring more of the Teen Kicks in the comic, at least at the point I am. As far as at least exposing some of the shenanigans that they're up to.
some of the stuff that's like the superhero club that Butcher takes Huey to in the first episode.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple more instances of that, to say the least.
One thing about the comic books that I noticed, and I think I've heard this, is that they obviously based the original primary, what they call him, Wee Huey, in the books, based him on Simon Pegg, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty obvious, right? And Simon Pegg shows up as the father in the first couple of episodes, which was pretty interesting. But there is one line, I don't remember which episode, but someone, I think Billy Butcher referred to him as Wee Huey, and he said, "I'm like 6'2". So I think it was kind of an in joke there.
I kind of like that, and I like that they sort of play around with that. I think I might have said it on the last episode, but Jack Quaid, who plays Huey, is really into the comics.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really into
That
the
would make
comics.
sense.
And Karen, who plays...
Oh, are you gonna
Fukuhara?
Brian?
Yeah,
Are
there
you
we
gonna
go.
Brian her name?
Who plays the female? She does a voice on the new She-Ra cartoon.
And
I
she was
had
in
no idea.
Suicide Squad.
I had no idea there was a new She-Ra cartoon.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Suicide Squad, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Was she the person with the samurai sword that captured the souls of everybody it killed?
I think so.
I've only seen it once. But Amanda and Danny they've already watched it, I think, twice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool to actually hear her voice, because she mostly, it just grunts if she makes any sound.
Right.
In this show. And we are introduced to her here in episode 4, the female of the species. Are we going to talk about these like they're 3 separate episodes, or are we going to talk about them like a 3-hour story?
That's up to you guys.
I think it'll flow naturally. Yeah. Sure, there'll be some overlap. That's fine.
Oh, no doubt.
Tangents are us. But it starts out, with
Yeah.
the flashback of happy Butcher in his happy life with his happy wife, talking about the Spice Girls. She's trying to get him to go, and he's like, fuck, I don't want to go. But it's happy, clean-shaven Billy Butcher before all that extra hate and rage, poured into his body. Which, it's weird starting on episode 4 of here, but also Vanessa's experience was starting with the comic book. I guess we can get to that, things about the beginning of the comic book later on in the add-ons, because I'm interested in your takes on the differences all throughout. So this episode, Female of the Species, it's sort of, speaking of differences between the comic book and show, Butcher and director Rayner's relationship is a little different. Like, the relationship that they had in the comic book terribly ended by the point that we ever see them in the show.
A lot more damage done.
They hate she kind of hates him in both forms, but obviously they are no longer having sex in her office.
Those days are done.
Well, this is one thing I will say about the comic. It has, as if the TV show doesn't have enough of it, the level of misogyny and toxic masculinity in the comic is so much higher, not to mention the homophobia. And it's just the level of disgust. It's not here, like on the show, you see a relationship between the two that just didn't end well, but whatever, it's in the past. and you still, in a way, have a love-hate relationship for each other.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't despise every fiber of each other's being. And anyone who reminds you of that, it's just like amped up on such an entire other level in the comic. So it's not just that the sexual relationship is still going on. It's just this level of misogyny and hatred is so much there. Like, so much more.
Turned up to 11, eh?
There's a lot more
Yeah.
Garth Ennis in his comic book than the adaptation of his stuff. I'd say I kind of think it was similar in Preacher, wasn't it? I didn't finish the comic.
I had a lot of friends that loved the comic book that said, this show sucks. They're not showing any of the nastiness that's in the comic book. So
And I
definitely got
get-
that impression.
And I get that you have to have some nastiness, and sure, part of it is you need to see some of the nastiness of these characters at times,
Mhm.
but we also need to find something redeeming to make us want to root for a character.
At least our quote-unquote protagonist, right?
Right. And you can still have an anti-hero, but, whatever. There needs to be something that makes us not hate them.
A lot of this episode is they're trying to figure out the whole compound V thing. And that sort of leads them to the female.
Right?
Right.
And in the comic book, I don't think they've got to her origin story where you've read so far, Vanessa.
No, they haven't.
Okay. But in the comic, they all start out knowing each other and working together, and it kind of seems like Frenchie and she are way further along in knowing each other than obviously just meeting
Yes.
for the first time in
Yeah.
the show. But it seems like they could be working towards that sort of relationship later
Mhm.
on. But
Right.
in the comic, it's like, yeah, they're the muscle. They're just waiting
Right.
for Butcher to say, yeah, fuck them up. And
Yeah.
Frenchie's a little bit more of a romantic, like, mercenary club kid in the show.
Yeah.
Although he does have the goggles always in the comic. This one's, of course, the biggest moment in this. Well, there's two. Because this one also has Deep and the dolphin, right? And the airplane.
Oh, God. Was that in this one?
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause
Yes. Oh my goodness. This entire episode, the Deep and his whole existential crisis, where he's
Yes.
going to therapy and the therapist is talking to him and it starts looking at the clock like, is it time to go? I was laughing at that. And then it ends where later on, because he's trying to free the dolphin and that whole kerfuffle.
That's kind of like the old "your hour is up."
Yes,
That's
exactly.
I don't know if you guys have checked out the new American Horror Stories, the new anthology show.
not
But
yet.
there's
I've
a
been looking
scene
forward to
there's
it.
a scene like that in there. Your hour is up, and they look at their watch. I've seen that in many a movie and many a TV show.
But I mean, we also do at the same time, we start to see Queen Maeve start to become disillusioned too. And like,
Just a little, huh?
just a little. But,
And she's
you
still
see
playing.
the cracks. You're starting to see some cracks in these.
Right.
Yeah.
But she's still playing the game
Of
because
course.
she's so deep into it, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people do a lot of things in both the comic and the show because
Mhm.
they're afraid of Homelander. like of what
makes sense.
Homelander would or could do.
Oh, absolutely.
Stillwell is not really afraid of Homelander or doesn't act like it at the very least, but everybody else around him, I think in this stretch of shows, doesn't Maeve talk about that with her ex about how you're a lot safer if we're apart?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
And the CIA, what did I call her? Raynor? Yeah, Raynor.
Yeah.
You know, when she's doing negotiations, she could say yes to everything except for, yeah, you can go after Homelander.
Homelander. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of people. And, you know, later on in the series, we've got, I can't remember his fucking name, but the awesome villain man that's in, a good villain in everything he's in. Breaking Bad and The Mandalorian. And in this. But anyway, trying to keep on topic, which is hard for me, sorry. So yeah, we got deep
Nobody keeps on topic on podcasts. Come on.
At
At least we don't.
Do we ever?
Oh, you guys do a remarkable job of keeping on topic compared to 80% of the podcasts I listen to.
That's only because I scribble bizarre notes.
That always helps. Bizarre notes are a good thing, right?
And
it makes sense. But one thing we were talking about the way that they start piecing this all together, tracking the female. I love that they do that, like the way that's like, okay, and Frenchie picks up the blue nail polish, like as a clue, and then he has the clue of the train ticket for, you know, Penn Station, and then of course they go into the nail salon, and you know, Frenchie finds the spot of where that nail polish was. But meanwhile, Mother's Milk is speaking to the salon workers.
Yes.
And not in English.
Really?
Like, yeah.
because I think he was also Special Forces. At least he was in the comic. I don't know if they really discuss it, but he does say he was a field medic.
Yeah,
So,
he was.
Yes, that's
he was
right.
in the military or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that, I mean, I looked on IMDb and it says it was tag-along was the language, which is used in Philippines.
Okay.
But I noticed that he wasn't speaking English to them. When I heard it, I was kind of like, nice, very nice touch. Like, unlike how when then all of a sudden A-Train shows up trying to cover his ass, you know.
There's a gang hit.
It's a gang hit, blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of thing.
A gang hit. Gangland killing. That's always the excuse, right?
Especially
Or-
when you want the cops to not look too hard into the case.
Yeah. Wrong place, wrong time.
You know, those human trafficking can be a dangerous business. So it's kind of good to see it happen to the trafficker. Giancarlo Esposito is the name of the person I was trying to think of.
Oh, okay.
Giancarlo?
Yeah.
Yes. Also from what? Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, right?
Yep. And The Mandalorian.
All right. Yes.
Boardwalk
He's in
Empire,
everything, basically.
Was he in Boardwalk Empire?
Maybe.
It's not about HBO today. It is about V and Compound V and
Compound V, not V, that sci-fi TV series from the 80s. That's entirely different.
Correct, and not V for
Or the
Vendetta.
remake.
Plays a quite different part in the story than it does in the comic book, which I think you've noticed that so far, Vanessa.
Yeah.
We talked about the Deep and the Dolphin and his sexual
Oh my
relationships
goodness.
with the Dolphin, or his
Yes.
openness to.
Yes.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comic books, the new character, what's her name? I keep wanting to say Starfire because
Starlight.
that's
Starlight.
Starlight, wasn't she sexually assaulted by basically the entire team in the comics, not just the
Yeah.
Deep?
Yeah.
Except the Deep
So-
was not there in the comic book.
Yeah.
How
in the-
ironic, right?
In the comic, it was Homelander, A-Train,
That's
and
right.
what was it? Black
Black
Noir?
Noir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes, and it's much more obvious in the comic.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
I've talked to one or two people that don't, which I think, well, I don't know how deep we went, but she was sexually assaulted.
Yeah, and then a couple of the guys at the meetings were making, like in the Hall of Justice meetings, so to speak, they were making comments, and Homelander looked at him like, shut the fuck up. Don't mention it. Don't say anything about it. Don't make jokes about it. It never happened. But he
Yeah.
certainly participated in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Another shitty thing that the superheroes do, that's the kind of that world is, here's another shitty thing that happens when untrained people get fantastic powers. Some shitty things happen. And we get to that in the airplane. Was it Flight 23 or something?
Oh, God.
37.
37. And they get into the physics of, well, I can't just stop it. There's nothing to brace myself with. And
Well, and part of the problem is that he used his fire, X-ray vision, whatever, and burned through the control panel. So he's the one who let fuck up the situation even more. And Maeve even she tries to fly the plane, but then she realizes that it's beyond hope.
Yeah, she's like, is there anyone that can fly the plane, you think? And I think he said, would it matter at this point? And he pointed to the control panel that his laser vision burned from one end to the other.
Okay, you have not got to the part in the comic, so I won't really talk about that part. And Lance, you have not got to that part in the comic either?
I'm not sure if I have or not. I've read the first 5 or 6 books, but one thing I've noticed that many of the books I read dealt on some other characters.
Okay, this one, there will be a character called the Legend that tells Huey about some stuff that happened in the past.
Okay,
And it's one
I
of
don't
the
think I've gotten there.
It's one of the stories that person tells Huey about.
Oh, the airplane.
Yeah, the airplane incident. But I mean, this one with the whole capes in the military build that they've been working on since earlier in the season, and then the plane crash, and use that to, like the Patriot Act, to just...
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah. Homelander is a sneaky fuck. I think the first time I went back through this, I started wondering in the show if he didn't prefer it to happen the way that it happened.
He's a fucking sociopath.
No doubt. Yeah, and if you guys
There's not a question about it. This is what he would prefer. because then he can make up, like, still tug at heartstrings in a certain way, still get the praise, you know?
And I'm sure you've noticed every time he's in public and he's getting all that adoration, he's got that big smile on his face. And then the minute he leaves the group that he's with, you can just see the smile just disappear. And just this distressed look on his face. Like he's just totally out there and nuts.
Yeah.
And fucking hates everybody.
And he is an extreme example of nature versus nurture. Kinda.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Which we get to later in the season, but I think we start getting some flashbacks in episode 6, if we don't in episode 5. I can't remember.
Yeah, where he's the baby.
Yeah, thinking about him as a baby, and then we'll get to it more in episode 6 with the whole reality of reality TV that they're doing in there. But we are finished with episode 4 now, kinda.
Yeah.
Unless we think of something.
Yeah, there is just one thing that I wanted to mention that to me I caught it or I thought that it was done on purpose. I'm not sure if it was, but I felt that with this one and also the other 2 episodes that the titles are just genius. The way they title each episode. Because I do understand that is her name in the comic book, right? The female. They just call her the female or the female of the species. But if you think about this episode and all the things that happen in this episode, obviously they run into her. She's the character with the name. But you've got Queen Maeve wanting to do the right thing, right? And then you've got this sociopathic asshole that's like, oh, fuck them. We can't we can't save the plane. Let's just let it go down. And maybe he's thinking ahead to how he can use that, or maybe he's not, but he doesn't give a fuck about anyone on there. He won't even let her take a child off the airplane. So Queen Maeve is trying to do the right thing, and he's being an asshole. Then you've got the storyline with Popclaw, where she's trying to do the right thing.
Yes.
She's trying to expose what's going on, and then you've got her sociopathic boyfriend that we'll get to that more in the next episode or 2. But if you look at it, all the females are trying to do the right thing in this episode, and the males are all fucking assholes. And I don't think that was by accident. I really don't. And I think it ties to the title, and I think it ties to the basic setup of this episode specifically.
And Frenchie is only first see in this episode. Really shows a crack in that exterior, like that rough kind of exterior, as he's making this bond with the female. And like, you see that, I mean, sure, you've seen Mother's Milk kind of talk to his wife, a certain way, but you haven't really seen enough of a moment with them.
Yeah, I only rewatched these 3 episodes. I had seen the other ones before, but now that you mention it, this was kind of a turning point for Frenchie, wasn't it?
Yeah, I rewatched the first 3 as well. And yeah, it was definitely, you saw like whatever, and you also saw, frankly, Butcher with a feminine influence in his life, how he had been different. I'm not saying women solve everything.
Yeah, but in this episode, I mean, it is called the female of the species.
And I'm not saying a man can't be something without a woman, but for these type particular men, they seem to do better. Except for our Homelander, because he's a fucking sociopath.
Oh, yeah, he hates everyone.
and everything. Oh,
So he's a good
okay.
mocking of
So
Superman.
absolutely. Well, truthfully, I've never been a big Superman fan. This may get me a lot of hate, but
Superman wouldn't have a problem with that airplane.
Though Superman could have stopped that, but he also wouldn't have. Anyway, sorry, Vanessa. We're talking about women, and then we're just talking over you.
it's okay. I was just saying that, I don't know. I think you have more interesting characters, superhero characters, but that's me and my comic thing. But that's not talking about the boys. So to finish talking some about episode 4, but into episode 5, my big comment: A-Train is such an complete dick. Like, his entire way he treats Pop Claw, and I know part of it is wrapped up in this addiction that he has.
I hadn't thought that way, but that makes sense.
But it's really, oh my goodness, it's just so terrible the way he treats her.
So manipulative.
You just feel so bad for her. I mean, she's got her own addiction issues too, but yeah.
In that aspect, she got her shit together way more than he did, but his career went on, and she became like the superhero Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme, just making action movies and doing her thing.
Yeah.
Living in an apartment. And so I don't know, they never really talk about where they live. I think they all live in Seven Tower. I mean, they might have other crash pads in other places, but they definitely live on the flying helicarrier in the comic book.
Right.
It's some areas are referred to. I was trying to figure that out more this time. The geography. Some of it clearly takes place in New York City.
Yes.
Like parts of Manhattan.
Yeah, definitely.
But some of it clearly takes place across the river in like Jersey City, Newark, that kind of area. I mean, and when I say, I mean, you see, I think part like from in Brooklyn at one point, Queens. I mean, but it's filmed in Vancouver, right?
Somewhere it is
Isn't
filmed in
everything-
Canada. Yeah.
It's
Everything's filmed in Canada now, right?
Pretty much.
It is definitely filmed in Canada. But yeah, it's more explicit in the comic because there's the rubble of the Brooklyn Bridge, and their office is in the Flatiron Building.
Yes.
And stuff
which
like
they make
that.
reference to that here as one of their demands.
In the Flatiron Building, no less.
Aim high. That rent would have to be pretty sizable.
Or like Huey not knowing much, enough about New York to not get a shitty apartment hotel in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I can't remember if you got that far. Well, I don't know how far you got, and I keep asking this, but there's a part in the comic book.
I do know that. I do know that, and I was laughing. I was trying to figure out where he got a place, and I was thinking it was probably going to be Bronx or Brooklyn.
Yeah, but some people say that's the seedier part of. I've always heard New Jersey has a lot of seedy parts to it. Is it the same with those boroughs, or have they been gentrified, or? What's the situation out there? I've been to Manhattan. I haven't really left the island before in traveling.
There are pockets here and there. I mean, there's certain areas that definitely are more gentrified, but there are other areas that aren't. There are not many areas like that left in Manhattan at this point, but you definitely have more in Brooklyn and Queens and Bronx. Staten Island is a little bit still more spread out. But then across the river in public transportation take you over to Jersey City and Newark, that right around there, Hoboken. It doesn't take you that long.
Where the real people are. Right?
I've had a weird thing. Every time I've been to New Jersey, I got sick.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've only ever gone on tour, but the 3 times we went to New Jersey, I got sick almost as soon as we got there and really started feeling better not long after we left.
Nauseous?
Yes.
And okay.
And it wasn't a really good.
That is an
interest.
That's an interesting
old toxic
thing
dumb
to happen there.
Yeah, it's weird, and it wasn't a very good experiment because, we tended to pack different foods on tour, and a lot of the time we were just getting groceries in the van because it was a lot cheaper. Whenever we were in New York, we just lived off pizza because you could find a slice for $1 or $2. You just
Anywhere.
live off pizza and stuff, at least on tour. Of course, Vanessa, last time when we were staying in Brooklyn, we had that little shitty kitchen and that basement apartment thing that Amanda and I rented and stuff. But you obviously live there and know a lot more about the city. But I've been going to New York since late 90s, early 1000s. And, when we played at CBGB, I did not go anywhere else because I was just, I'm here. I maybe left the block once. And it's just here. And then different people took us around to different clubs.
Not the same.
Yeah.
It's so sad. It's so sad that all that's gone.
I can imagine. When I feel it from here, all the way from here. But I still got a piece of the floor in my drumstick bag. I didn't break it, but I picked it up.
Not to stay off topic, guys, because I know we want to get back to the boys, but you guys know how much of a musicals fan I am. Have you guys seen In the Heights?
Yes.
No.
That is all about gentrification. The entire plot line of the movie is about people being driven out of their neighborhood, and it's a real thing. And the Heights is actually on Manhattan, but on the north end. Is that correct?
Yes, the Northwest.
And that's it's called Washington Heights. Is it? So
Washington
it's still,
Heights, and then into Inwood.
Is anything the same, or is it totally changed now?
I mean, it's very much changed, but I mean, Inwood was the very tip top of the island, and it was a lot of Irish immigrants there, and you can still find some of them left, but the Dominican population that was largely down in Washington Heights has been pushed, or there have been more Dominican people as well. It's kind of been a combination. But those who were moved out of Washington Heights and then just more Dominican immigrants have settled in the Inwood area and then still in Washington Heights. But the rents are, it's just not great, and yeah.
All right, to go way off topic. Thanks for enlightening me.
Yeah.
Well, we stayed in New York, which is where I don't know where they go for the Believe Expo, but it's not in New York City.
That
love this
I
episode.
expect it's got to be. I don't know.
Maybe it's at Woodstock.
No,
Outside Albany.
no. I'm guessing maybe that's someplace in Jersey.
Oh.
Okay.
Like once you get farther south in Jersey or something. You never know. Some of those areas that
Right?
it could be.
This is one of my top episodes because it makes fun of that whole thing.
Yes.
I love this episode. I'm giving it away now, Daeron. I told you one of my favorite episodes so far. The entire series was in this arc, and this is it, man.
I mean, there is
hypocrisy.
so much in this episode about that. Oh, I guess we should say, speaking of A-Train being a dick, he's got Pop Claw hiding out in Cuba. And
Oh God,
Annie,
oh man.
Annie's been announced that she is going to be at the Believe Expo with Ezekiel, the stretchy, self-hating gay man, who's like
Well, she does confess, and that is good for the soul. And Frenchie does make a delicious meal for the female, and they say food is good for the soul. Again, I love these titles.
And Huey he comes more clean with Annie.
Which is good for the soul.
Exactly.
And realizing that there's so much hypocrisy and bullshit in a lot of religious fervor and persecution of people. I mean,
I love his blackmail threat of Ezekiel.
Oh my God.
played my
Yes,
ass
moment.
like jazz.
That moment, I'm giving it away.
he thought on his feet for sure, right?
He totally did. He totally did. But he kept it together.
Because he's good at it. Like Mother's Milk says, but I forget what he says. You're like the Rain Man of fucking people over. Something
Yeah.
like that.
That's not a compliment,
Yeah.
he said.
Yes, exactly.
But
Beautiful.
I mean, it's got that. I don't know if they ever say the name of the soup who's got the angel's wing. So of course she has to be one of the Christian superheroes because that's just the way it works. And
She's an angel, right? Like in the X-Men, angel, right?
yeah,
That
she's
has the
probably
wings.
angel or archangel because there's definitely an archangel in the X-Men. But
Right.
she's singing the. I mean, if I was gonna make up a fake Christian song, it
That
could
would
sound
be
like
it.
that. Because it's
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
yeah. So fucking cheesy lyrics, rhyming words that don't really rhyme together.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about love songs to Jesus or love songs to faith.
$15,000 to get backstage.
Yeah, to get waterboarded by Homelander. That look on his face when he's holding him
25,000.
underwater.
Oh man, I was a little worried about wee Huey there.
And you
I
think
know,
about
right?
how strong he is.
Oh yeah,
being held
there's
under-
no stop.
I that's my worst fear of that kind of crazy. At least the Catholics don't do that. Like,
Right, they get it out
Just-
of the way when
just
you're
right.
a baby. You don't remember.
not,
Just
but they
right.
still don't do it to that degree.
No, they just pour some water. I think.
Yeah. These quote unquote non-denominational churches. We have several of them here in the Houston area. One of which my daughter goes to, and I'm not incredibly happy about it. The fact that I got to keep it quiet. The tithing, and then you read about the preachers, and they're these non-denominational people with all the rock stars and R&B singers and choirs and this great all the fireworks and lasers and everything. And
Yeah.
then you look them up, and they're like net worth 16 million, net worth 2 billion. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good for the soul.
I think Joel Osteen is worth 40 million.
Oh,
And
that's
then-
all?
Well, that's just personal wealth. I'm sure the church.
That's what's reported.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Right.
there's so many ways around all that stuff. The church probably owns more property than he does.
Totally tax-free.
Ugh.
Oh.
And-
Hypocrisy just brings me down so much of this bullshit. I know this is
Mixing
we're not on the political podcast, so
all I
let's
can
just,
say is that mixing God/religion
Mhm.
and politics together is never a good idea. It always fucks things up worse than they already are. That's just a generic statement that you can apply to so many situations throughout history and currently. And and I'm not offending anybody with that.
No, it's true.
Although I've already joked many times that, there are people that I hope are hate listening to us. It's still people downloading the show.
Oh,
There we go.
hate listening, huh? I don't think so. I think we're just we're over here. We're not, but over on the other show, we're in an echo chamber. Am I right, Daeron?
Oh, right. Leftist echo chamber. That is true. Fucked up my rating, but they haven't come over here yet, so that's good. So yeah, we've got Annie who, like she says in her speech, her first time on stage was at Believe Expo, but now she's older and wiser, and she's noticing things that her mom's like, yeah, that's always been there. But, she's walking around and there's the one man, one woman equals marriage shit.
I saw
and
that.
The abstinence only talk in the tent with the kids. And just,
Well, she's realizing that she's being pushed into this heteronormative, puritanical, xenophobic image, and she's like, wait a minute, those don't. And then she just has a crisis of faith, because it's like the way she's being pushed into that image is contrary to what she feels her faith is. And it's kind of an interesting thing, and and you just see her break and from this branding of the seven.
Maybe it's because I listened to you guys last week, but I got shades of I, Tanya, with the relationship with her and her mother.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, right.
She was playing it up for all it's worth, right?
my friends are
That-
gonna be watching.
Uh-huh.
I wrote down Starlight stage mom is gross. Yes, those stage mothers like that are disgusting. They always are.
I guess Starlight's lucky she made it this far before she was assaulted by a group of men, being in that kind of environment. And I forgot about it kind of until the rewatch, and that just thinking about her mom planning and doing all of that and not telling Annie about it. Because some of the Homelander knows how he exists. There are some that don't know, and we see later on that's very Operation Paperclip over there in the secret Vought hospitals that we get to in season 2. But her mom thinks that she's doing the right thing still, though. which a lot of people that do bad things think they are.
Well, but again, like she said, I didn't go through all this blood, sweat, and tears to make you who you are and sacrifice so much to see you throw this away, right? The Britney Spears deal, right?
It's a stage parent kind of thing, because you see in her, to me, it comes across very much, and I don't know if it's because we just watched I, Tonya, but it comes across as very, I did this for me, not for you, but for me, really.
You're my project.
You're my project. I went to school with, because I was in theater and dance and all of this kind of thing, and I was in it because I wanted to be in it. My parents never pushed me. They were pleased and happy that I found something I enjoyed, and so they were supportive. That's different. But I saw people who were pushed into all these different things, like pushed into pageants and all that kind of stuff. And it was because their parents, their moms especially, they wanted their little girls or their child to go into whatever entertainment industry kind of job.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people that make it out of the Believe Expo end up as anchors on Fox News.
Tucker Carlson?
Oh, what would Tucker Carlson's superpower be? Like when he scrunches up like that, a baby dies somewhere? Or
just that blank stare into nothing, into the void. He's got that blank stare that just goes into the void.
No,
That's what my wife said when we were watching the election coverage. She was talking about Tucker Carlson, and she said, "What is he looking at? why is he just staring straight ahead at nothing?"
He's having trouble reading the cue cards when they don't use monosyllabic words.
I think that's it.
The only word I know that is more than one syllable is immigrant.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, we know that one well. Yeah, that was pretty much the only time I've caught too much Fox News recently, because we took that whole week off that the election occurred. We had a feeling it was going to take a couple extra days, and we got an Airbnb out in Austin, kind of out in the country near Austin, and watched all the coverage. And Daeron, we were talking about it. We'd stay up till like 3 a.m, flipping from channel to channel to channel, from Fox News to CNN to ABC to whatever else. And I got like way too much Tucker Carlson that week. More than I ever want to get again.
More often than not anymore, I watch election coverage on PBS because it's mostly just the information.
Makes sense.
But
well, okay. Back to the boys.
I mean, I did start it with my crack
not
about
the
Believe
boys
Expo.
club.
Yeah.
Hey, not the boys club. The boys.
Yeah. Just the boys. And we've got so Starlight has her Me Too moment, or the people that see her have theirs, because they're doing I guess they get more into the news coverage and the social media coverage about her calling out the shitty culture that she's in the next episode.
Right.
But she gets honest about her faith with the people there when she's got the microphone. Probably the only truth spoken on that stage all day long.
Right.
And what we've got, Maeve reaching out to her ex sometime around this time in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's having a mental breakdown.
Uh-oh. I have somebody having a breakdown over here. I hope y'all don't hear that over the mic. I have literally 6 grandkids over here, so...
Oh, there it is.
It's good for screaming like that is good for the soul, right?
There we go. Yep. Got to have your primal scream. We've got the baby superheroes in the NICU at the Midtown Hospital.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is one of my favorite scenes when
I do appreciate that.
when he's just holding the baby. That cute little thing about keep your nose clean or I'll come back and stomp you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butcher's like a lovable asshole in the show, and he's just kind of an asshole that you don't hate necessarily in the comic
Right.
book.
He
Although,
loves the word cunt, that's for sure.
but also it's Carl
Nothing wrong with
Urban,
that.
and I think he's just generally charming in every character he plays. So I don't know if that's a on purpose choice to have the character be more liked, or if they decided to go a different way with the character. Because I mean, this is 2019, and when did the comic start? 2006. There we go. Ran from 2006 to 2012. We will use that for later information. I think we are. Well, oh fuck! I mean, this episode ends with the female versus Black Noir.
Well, so we have to say Frenchie gets burned.
Oh
So-
yeah, that's right.
That's a pretty big deal. Now it's only a matter of time before they're all found out.
Yeah, it's starting because fucking Mesmer. I think it would have
Exactly.
been a while longer before they got figured out if it wasn't for
Mhm.
Mesmer.
What a great character, though.
It's true.
It totally made up for the show. I don't think he exists at all in the comic book.
Uh huh.
And I think also, who else? Translucent was made up for the show.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. There was another the other person from the Seven was what? Jupiter Jack, or Jack from Jupiter.
Was he kind of like the Martian Manhunter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The Martian
Because I
Manhunter
see
type character.
there's so much Justice League vibe in here. But basically, you got Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. I thought Black Noir was more like Batman at first, but I guess, like you're saying, Tech Knight was more the Batman character.
I think Tech Knight's got to be. I don't really. They flesh out a bit more about Black Noir.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't really know what comic book character. But I don't read a lot of regular comics. I read shit like this more often when I'm doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I
The
mean,
more nasty shit.
when they do Tech Knight, I mean, he's got gadgets, he's got a butler, he's got a big mansion. I think in the show, the Deep, who gives a fuck about the planet earnestly, it seems.
He
Just in a throwaway-
does kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
It-
does actually, because he's even talking about, like, oh no, the SeaWorld substitute, whatever it
Oceanland, I
is.
think.
Oceanland. And he's talking
Black-
about, like,
Blackfish, shades of Blackfish.
yeah,
Yeah.
and how I want to talk about their plight because I don't think they're really happy there. And, that kind of.
I got Tech Knight to switch engines because I think he talks about having Tech Knight switch to using an electric or a hybrid engine in his car, and how it gets so much better mileage now. And
Yeah, but then you notice in episode 6, he's driving like this huge gas guzzler of a car,
yeah,
like a Range Rover or whatever, not a Range Rover, some sort of like Hummer obnoxious vehicle.
oh right, when he's been exiled to
Sandusky,
Sandusky.
Ohio. That's my joy that he's in. I was going to bring that up, but
Yeah, that well,
getting
we'll
myself.
we will get there. Yeah, so Frenchie got burned, and everybody's starting to scatter. the danger is increasing, and Black Noir shows up and doesn't look good for Frenchie, and then female shows how badass she is. Or just a glimpse of how badass she is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's episode 5. I miss anything? You miss anything?
No, but I just, again, the baby is the weapon.
And how it's so tired it closes its eyes again for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just shaking it like a flashlight.
Yeah.
That was one of the better times Butcher says diabolical. It's another one of his favorite words, it seems, throughout the series. Yeah, so I think we are at the point where we're taking that quick break and then coming back with episode 6 and the wrap-up.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's go take some V.
This is Michael Caine, award-winning film actor you may know from such cinematic achievements as A Muppet's Christmas Carol and Jaws for the Revenge, where I played a character named after a fucking sandwich. I approve of the following promotional message.
Do you like movies? Well, of course you do, you silly twit. You're listening to a movie podcast right now. Do you like podcasts about movies? I mean, if you're listening to this, your life is empty and without direction. So of course you do. Why not continue the spiral downwards with
They must be destroyed on sight!
yet another semi-regular podcast about film that will occupy some of that empty space in your soul. We cover every genre, but focus on a lot of obscure and cult films with a leaning towards exploitation. If you want a podcast that's going to talk about a silent film from the 1920s one week, and a sleazy biker film from the 1960s the next, and then back to something like Singing in the Rain the next episode,
They must be destroyed on sight!
maybe for you. So tune in and join regular hosts Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and Lee Hardy, as well as the odd guest hosts at tmbdos.podbean.com. Thank you, drive through.
There's the siren, signaling our return. We are back. Since you're hearing my voice, you know that already. But it is on to episode 6 of season 1 of The Boys, The Innocents. With a T, not a C. Since I didn't enunciate that very well, I wanted to get that out there. We left off with the Believe Expo. That's all gone. This one starts with sort of like Starship Troopers does, with like a film within a film. Some corny reality TV show commercial that I think the producer said, yeah, if we were on between John and Kate plus 8 and my short life or something like that, right? I can't remember, but
Yeah.
That's about right.
I don't
Some
watch
TLC reality shows.
Yeah. I don't watch a lot of reality TV, but that was kind of spot on for me with the satire of it.
Yes. True wives of the New Jersey mafioso, right?
And like such a corporate thing, they've got that placeholder that just says reserved for Starlight, relating to people.
Yes. Yes.
And this episode, I kind of feel like dealt a lot with the relationships between corporate news and corporate America, and how real reality TV is, and the sometimes coordination.
we see Ashley get fired. Like that's near the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, pretty much. What Annie walks in past Homelander in her secret identity, and he's just as far as we know, he's just staring at the wall right now. And then, yeah, Ashley comes out and says something about a sorority.
Well, she could overhear screaming.
Elizabeth, she was like, oh, it was a mutual decision.
We wish her well. Like, so even keel.
Mm-hmm.
Like there had not been screaming just a moment ago in that office. Not breaking a sweat at all. It's complete business.
She brings that is like the core, I feel, of the Stillwell character.
She does that well. I will give Elizabeth Shue that.
Unflinching, relatively reserved, saves emotions for not near the office. She doesn't even really, she's, what does she tell Homelander? You've got boundary issues.
Oh no, we need to have boundaries.
We need to have boundaries.
She knows how to play to his, mommy issues.
Yeah, she does.
And she, it's all a matter of business to her.
Did you notice?
Everything she does is calculate. Everything she does is calculated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and I really like this character. At least I like the performance. I don't like Stillwell, but I like the performance.
Yeah. No, agreed. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And when you think of the different people in the corporation and just how I think in a way where we're a corporation, we're not afraid of a superhero that can burn people with lasers in their eyes because we're Vought. There's just like some weird cocky power and commentary on the power of a corporation in this world. And I don't know if anybody noticed one of the things I was talking about was the coordination between Vought and the Vought News Network and things.
Oh, God.
Right. Yeah, everything is so calculated.
They were putting quotes from
branding
the Deep's apology on the little chyron before he said it.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
There, especially the part where it was about, I believed our encounter at the time. I believed our encounter was consensual.
Consensual.
That pops up.
Yes, of course. I've heard that before.
That popped up before he said it, and
right.
There's. And I don't think in this episode, but in another episode when it's Homelander and Starlight, it's something similar to that. And this, anyway, that's kind of where this episode gets started. Is they're dealing with the sexual assault within the corporation, like they do. They send the person away. They don't fire them. They just get them away to get rid of some of the blowback. And I like that Annie realizes more of her power in this situation.
I know, me too. But again, like I said, on the other side, I love he's sent to Sandusky, Ohio. As punishment.
Yeah. Where can you find a party around here, huh?
No, it's not quite Canadian, but
I don't even know if SeaWorld is still up there. It's been so long since I've been to Sandusky.
There really isn't. No, there is nothing in Sandusky. That's my point.
Not a damn thing.
There was one time in high school where we got really stoned. It was around Halloween, and we heard there was a cool haunted house up that way. Which, I can't even remember. It's probably at least an hour and a half from here. But you don't think about that when you make plans in high school.
Oh, yeah. Well worth the drive.
And that was 2 hours and 11 minutes. We did find the haunted house. And we ended up at somebody's house because they had beer. And then we brought somebody back with us, so there wasn't enough room in the car. So we took turns having someone ride in the trunk for a stretch of time. And that was still more fun than staying in Sandusky, Ohio.
Oh, wow. Well, that's saying a lot right there.
Not for me. I guess I'll say that. It's not for me. It is obviously a punishment to the deep. He goes to that shitty hotel, and he starts to get some what goes around comes around.
Mm-hmm.
I do like when those people smash his window and he's just like, keep living your truth.
Oh, yeah. He kept his calm, didn't he?
And that's the weird thing, is that he is a rapist, and he might be the nicest person in the seven besides Annie and Maeve.
That's fucked up.
Right?
Yeah.
I just Google City of Sandusky, Ohio, and the first thing that pops up is it says, the City of Sandusky is kicking off the national Click It or Ticket seatbelt enforcement mobilization.
Oh.
So you're right. There must not be much going on there.
I mean, there is Lake Erie. It's like a lake town.
Yeah.
And there's Cedar Point. But I have no idea.
That's true. I forgot Cedar Point was up there.
I'd love to go to Cedar one day.
It's an amusement park town. It's
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're doing a thing.
And that's not my deal.
Yeah. It's I've been enough, basically. I've been there enough. There have been field trips in school. There have been trips on my own time. Amanda hates them. Danzig's in the middle, so, you know, right now he's cool with going across town to the zoo and doing the rides there. He's too short to do the shit. He's too short to be worth 2.5 hours of traffic for him to get pissed off that he can't ride anything. Might as well just go across town.
Just the kiddie rides, huh?
Yeah. But I feel like there was a SeaWorld in Ohio, but I don't remember if it was up north or down south.
I was thinking it was like maybe up Akron or Cleveland type area.
Aurora, Ohio. It is permanently closed.
Okay.
It closed in a long time ago, 2000. So 21 years ago, it closed.
Okay.
It was once called SeaWorld Cleveland. Opened in 1970. Closed in 2000.
Wow.
But anyway, this is 2019, and it is in the show, and it is modern times, so there is no SeaWorld there. They send the deep to where there used to be a SeaWorld to sit in a hotel and be out of the way. It's somewhat typical punishment for a person in high power.
And I love that, since we're talking about the underwater marine life, I love that Frenchie and the female bond over Shark Week. Yeah.
It's,
That's right.
it's Shark Week right now as we speak, I think.
I know. I have been watching a lot of Shark Week. I got my mom into Shark Week. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I heard it's on 3 channels now.
Well, I have Discovery Plus, so I have the full range of all the Shark Week programs.
All the Shark Week you can take, huh?
Has Chris Hemsworth swam with the sharks yet? I heard that was sometime this week. That's right, you don't watch comic book movies. He plays Thor in the Marvel
Yes,
universe.
I know who he is.
There is a Shark Week sometime
I
this
am
week
aware of him.
where he goes swimming with sharks. Or he almost does.
All right. I thought didn't they have an episode where one of the Olympians raced
Michael
against a shark or something like that?
Michael Phelps. They had Ronda Rousey, Mike Tyson.
Oh, Lord.
Really?
Shaquille
Wow.
O'Neal has done 2 of them.
Well,
That
why not?
actually is pretty amazing because how else do they? I mean, to see them make a wetsuit for someone that big, much less a shark cage, it's just fascinating. It's it's kind of scary. Anyway,
But they bond over Shark Week.
yeah.
We are doing.
So, yeah, on the board. Yes. And that's still a throwback to last summer talking about Jaws.
Hey,
I
it's
was
all coming
bringing up
together.
Shark Week then. I was bringing up Shark Week then too. But it's like, and then I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, it's just the pathetic apology of the deep is, yes, we know it's pre-scripted and everything, but the way they're like directing him and coaching him to say it.
More
no,
emphasis on that word.
Right, exactly. And it's, you hear that kind of thing, and then you just are kind of like, yeah, that's exactly why more sexual assault victims don't report, their perpetrators. Because that person, they're not sorry for it. And nothing really happens to them.
Oh, and when they were showing earlier, when they were showing the different news networks covering the scandal, they brought up a screenshot of Twitter, and one of the comments was, "Regret doesn't equal rape. Sorry, not sorry," or something like that. That they had.
Man, you paid attention, Daeron. you really paid attention to everything that was going on.
Well,
were you microdosing at the time or what?
That would have been a good idea, but no, it was. I'm not sure why, but I was sort of thinking about the idea of the relationship with the news and the corporation, so I was just paying extra attention to those things.
Well, I noticed that in a way too, after reading, what was it, Bitch Planet? That we did for the show.
Yes.
Going back and redoing volume 1 of that. That comic, just, the way, the use of space and the use of incorporating media and saturation of media into kind of this dystopian environment.
Kind of sounds like where we're living right now.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on tonight.
Sounds like the motorcycle race is over. Or it's moving into a new part of town and it's like road rash. I don't know if you ever played that.
That's what it sounds like. Oh, yeah.
That's another podcast. That's another Legion podcast. Controllers up, cards down.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that, folks.
You live in the world, and it has become part of the ambiance.
I know.
Road rash. Now all I'm thinking about is that old fucking video game. That was fun though, back in the day. Nothing like good old fashioned 16-bit video games to liven the mood, right? And I could actually play them. These new ones, I got an Xbox and I'm like fucked. I finally got like a third of the way through a Nazi zombie game, and I was like shaking my fist in victory. I've still got 2/3 to go.
You should get that Maneater game.
I heard about that. That's with the shark, right?
Yeah.
Shark Week.
You are a shark, And yeah, you're a shark and you can expand your size and power throughout the game. And there's a DLC coming out for that in about a month.
Sounds cool.
But anyway, sorry. The
So-
Innocents.
One thing that I love about this episode is that they have whatever the superhero, like whatever convention type thing. Billy Zane is playing himself, so essentially Billy Zane is a superhero in the world of The Voice.
Billy Zane
It
is a
explains-
superhero.
It
God damn
explains
it.
so much. It explains so much.
he was in one of the Pop Claw movies, wasn't he?
Yes,
Okay.
he
Yeah.
was.
I thought so.
But I
And-
love that it wasn't like Billy Zane as blah blah. It's like
Billy Zane.
the way that they worded it was no, Billy Zane in and of himself was like saying Homelander.
Yeah.
I mean, like the same level of.
Oh, there's Seth Rogen. Was he in this episode or the last episode? Talking about making a movie in the VEU with Black Noir.
Oh, I do remember seeing that, but
I think this
I just
episode.
watched the episodes, but
I think
it
this
was
episode.
this one.
And they're playing the Fame song. I mean, the soundtrack continues to be fucking awesome of this series.
Oh yeah, so much Billy Joel, huh? What's the reason for that? Is there a reason?
Well, it's like Huey's favorite band. And I think
Okay.
that's
So they-
true in the comic as well. But that's where we start. Like the last thing he's saying to Robin is "Don't besmirch Billy Joel," and then
Yes.
Right.
later on, I think some of the episodes have Billy Joel song titles, and he's listening to Billy Joel in his
Okay.
Discman or iPod or whatever the fuck he's got
Yes.
and stuff. But I think it's just that because Huey likes him, and I'm sure Amazon doesn't have to pay a lot of money for Billy Joel. They probably own the Billy Joel catalog. or
They
something like
probably own it. Yeah.
that. But
So if you guys don't mind, can I play the title game one more time here?
please.
So is it ironic? Was it just me, or is it ironic in that no one is innocent? Absolutely no one. Everybody has their agenda. Even the characters that seem the most innocent and wanting to do good for other people are, to quote Billy Butcher, cunts. That was my takeaway from this episode.
What do you got, Vanessa?
I suppose to a certain degree, everybody has their own agenda. But don't they usually?
Yeah, I
Or
guess
is that a
none
very
of-
cynical view of things?
I think this title is very cynical. I mean, that's the way I interpret it. That no one in the episode is innocent, and a lot of true nature is starting to come out, and the manipulative people are starting to really show their true colors and stuff like that. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just how I see the world, especially right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there's a lot more to the female of the species and good for the soul in the title game. But
Yeah.
I guess there is they're just no one. Well, yeah, they're putting forward, especially with the person who is producing the show, talking about how they don't want to be a corny reality TV show, but
Right.
they
right.
are angling it that way anyway. A-Train talks about how
Yes.
he grew up in a sort of dangerous neighborhood. I was like, well, no, let's not talk about guns. Let's talk about something else, and then there's the entire fabricated backstory of Homelander growing up on a farm with a loving family when he grew up in a laser-proof room with a blanket.
Yeah.
Which-
Not.
Just triggers his rage when it's on the bed, totally throws off his lie, making him think about that. Speaking of the cold, business-like nature of Stillwell, one of my favorite parts of the show, favorite little parts is just when Homelander throws that rock and she just kind of, well, that's going to kill somebody when it lands in Boston.
Yeah, I know. It's a complete throwaway line.
They move into the mommy's here, mommy's going to make it better.
Yeah.
But you've got to be a good boy and finish up this totally bullshit lie for our propaganda machine. They, like the comic book, like we talked about earlier, talks a lot about the different groups, the Justice League, the type things. And this one, since possibly because it is television or whatever, since it's not a reading, it's a watching thing, they seem to be more going after the whole Marvel movie universe, DC movie universe, all the connections. Sure. I think the later on when the girls get it done thing, I think that's in season 2, but I think that definitely mimics that scene in Avengers Endgame where all the women characters are on screen at once. And, sort of like the forced corporate allyship.
Yeah.
We get a little bit more about the female. I feel like a lot of people are dealing with death and grief, and maybe that's the innocents. The innocents are the people that didn't have anything to do with any of this stuff, but they're dead.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that.
So you could go a lot of different ways with that, but there's the support group of the people that were hurt in different ways by their...
Yes, the innocents. I gotcha.
The writer for Vought.
Soup.
Yeah, the soup survivors of soups. I don't even know what it was called. And Butcher's little speech about you should be out there with a fucking chainsaw. Where's your rage? But yeah, that writer guy talking about having the Terminator 2 treatment to his penis, and they talk about Tech Night again in that part because the woman who is in a wheelchair says, I wish he was more gentle with my spine.
Oh, that did come up, didn't it?
That I know that name did come up.
So yeah, you'll get, if you continue with the comic book, which now that we're, sort of.
And I think that the name had already come up in the comic. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
They will be quite a few pages of story, and then they come back, but. So Tech Night's in there a little bit later. I did tell one person that was sort of noticed the same stuff a lot of people do about the comic book with some of the, I don't know, they described it as edgelord bullshit. They said, did they tone any of that down for the show? Because if they don't, I don't know if I have any interest. And I said, I think you'll enjoy the show. Because if you like some parts of the comic book, but you think there's a little too much homophobic language or misogyny or anything like that, it is a bit more palatable,
TV
modernized, TV made.
Yeah.
The basic idea, I think, of the characters are there, but everybody's more likable. Kinda. Maybe not so much the superheroes.
I still hate them all.
I feel like the Huey...
Most of them are, pretty much assholes.
Yeah.
But you do find some at least moments of likability, enough that you can keep watching a story.
The bowling alley scene and stuff like that, right?
I mean, there are these moments where the writing is better.
They go some interesting places in the comic. But I think I like the show more. By a decent amount.
Interesting. I'm shocked. I think I like the show more too, but I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that.
You know, it's not that I don't like the comic, but I know that I like the show more. At least at this point. I don't see them going anywhere that I'm just gonna freak out. Be like, I can't believe they skipped this part, because with as much as I've read, I think it would have been cool if they, had the regular storyline of Love Sausage. But I love that there's the cameo.
Oh, that's right. There was a cameo. Yeah, I'm looking forward to season 3. I wonder if it's going to be anytime soon, or has it been pushed way back due to COVID?
They at least started shooting it. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
they did.
Finished. They've been doing some more trailers. Of course, they put trailers out for shit that's not coming out for years. But I feel like they made an announcement about them starting back to shooting maybe a couple months ago.
I think I saw the Candyman trailer 3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they already started filming, and they're hoping that it would be December of this year or January of next, if everything goes to plan.
Right around the corner.
Yep. Jensen Ackles as Soldier Boy, who is kind of like the Captain America of the boys' world.
Interesting. Okay.
It's going to be interesting to see what he does with it. But Jensen Ackles, I think, is in the remake of My Bloody Valentine or something like that. But most people know him as Dean Winchester in Supernatural.
Never seen an episode. I'm one of the few.
I know of it.
I don't know. That show, I hear there's a point about 6 or 7 seasons in where I kind of lost interest. And It turns out it was around where they were thinking about ending the show. So I don't know if it took them a while, but I'm told it ends well. They just did their last season. It kind of starts out as a Monster of the Week sort of thing. 2 brothers who are in a family that hunts monsters and vampires and other type shit. And then they get more elaborate storylines with monsters and demons and angels and all sorts of wild shit. There's a lot of cool cameos. Like, I think Barbara Crampton's in an episode. Dee Wallace.
Oh, wow.
Dee Wallace is in an episode or 2. And, yeah, I mean, you might like it, but it is a lot of fucking shows. There are a lot of shows.
18 seasons or something, huh?
Something like that. But especially if you don't care about making a commitment, you can watch a lot of the episodes as standalones, especially the beginning of the show. There's a lot of, well, we heard about this weird fucking thing. The other brother is Jared Padalecki. And that was right before he was in the Friday the 13th remake. But anyway, Jensen Ackles from that show, Soldier Boy in The Boys Season 3, coming out maybe this year. But I think we've finished talking about that stuff so far, although, Vanessa, you might have a page or 2 more to say about your experience reading the comic book, or have you said it all?
No, I don't know how much more of it I'm going to read, truthfully.
Yeah.
Just be truthful now.
If I'm honest. It's not that I hate it, but I don't like it enough.
There you go.
To make it, I feel, worth my time.
I'm going to skim through the first omnibus and see if there's a section I want to recommend before you totally give up. Not that I think that it'll keep you reading it.
I'm going to check to see how many more pages I have first. And if it's like a short number, then I'll go ahead and finish it out of general principle to say I read another book this year. But
You might have to use
Only
it in
for
a
my
pinch.
reading challenge.
Yeah, same here. Especially being almost midway through the stand with no end in sight.
Yeah.
And when you turn that nook on, it says 54 hours and 17 minutes to finish the book. That's a long fucking book.
So let's see. I know we don't want to make you stick around for the regular wrap-up stuff, but I did want to say thank you for your time, Lance. And
Yeah, thank
it was
you.
Cool talking with
Thank you.
with our voices about this. You and I have sort of chatted about The Boys. I probably was bugging you to watch it back when it came out.
I'm glad I did. Second season was interesting. First season so far is my favorite. These three that we talked about tonight is definitely my favorite three. But I'll keep watching. Looking forward to season 3 for sure.
Why don't you plug your wares and then go enjoy the rest of your life while we do the housekeeping?
Not much to plug, man. We're just the horror returns. We're supposed to have a website coming out. I bought the domain name you never buy it, right? You rent it or whatever. But I tagged it 4 months ago, and we've still been too fucking lazy to set up a website. But eventually we'll have just www.thehorrorreturns.com, and you can get everything there. But we got the action returns. Nez has been fighting all kinds of forest fires up there where he lives in Northern California. Not literally, thank God, but
I heard his
to,
internet line melted or some shit.
His internet line literally melted, and they've got that back up, and now his fucking power is out. So we've got some action returns and String Fiends coming up, but it could be another week or two. But keep listening. Keep Nez in your prayers if you believe. What is it they always say? Our hopes and prayers go out to you, or am I getting that wrong?
Oh, thoughts and prayers, probably.
Our thoughts and prayers. There you go, man.
I'll give him my thoughts.
But
I suppose. I suppose that's what they say.
Well, thanks for the invite, guys. Great series. I'm going to keep watching it for sure. Comic books, I may be with Vanessa. We'll see. If I get really, really desperate toward the end and I need to get in something quick, I'll grab a graphic novel or something.
There you go. Or you could get the graphic audio book of it. I hear that. I checked out the first one of that. That was kind of interesting. I guess they do them for all kinds of graphic novels, but my library had the first 2 omnibuses on graphic audio, they called it. That's like a descriptive. They do the text and then, it's like a little radio play type thing. But anyway, thank you again, man. Vanessa and I will wrap up the show after you bid adieu. So until Lance from the Horror returns.
Good night.
There we go.
Right. Take it easy, guys.
You
Okay.
too, man.
Thanks again, Lance.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we will be right back.
Moments later.
And we're back. Okay. Thank you again, Lance, for joining us. And thank you, dear listeners, for listening. Now, for our next episode, drumroll please, Daeron. You didn't know you'd be put on the spot. Okay. A drummer should always be ready.
Well,
Yes.
I froze. I almost just started banging on my table, but my microphone is clipped to it. So that's the hesitation you heard. Was, oh wait, I'm not supposed to be hitting the table. I'm supposed to be making drum sounds with my face. And
God.
yeah, that's how we got there. But you were talking about August.
Yes. So for August, we are going to help you close out your summertime vacation, camp, whatever, just summer season with a little wet, hot American summer. Yes. It's definitely going to be a fun, silly one to go over.
Should be fun. I haven't watched it in a while, but I used to watch it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. And we might even do a scene.
So what are some of your favorite scenes out there, people? Hit us up in the usual ways, vdclinicpod@gmail.com or VD Clinic Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Legion Podcasts Network, chat in the Facebook group, lots of places.
Yes.
People that will probably respond know how to get a hold of us. But toss out some of your favorite parts of Wet Hot American Summer, or pretend it's your favorite part because you want to hear us do it.
Yeah, I mean, who's going to be the Christopher Maloney part?
I don't know. I was looking for my dick cream.
Exactly.
I'm thinking
Gonna
about
go fondue cheddar.
fondling my sweaters.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
It's gonna be that kind of episode.
It almost definitely will be. That is that episode. This has been this episode. On behalf of me, I say thank you. And after Vanessa does it, we can thank you. Well, Vanessa can thank us for the show because she's a founding OG member of the VD Clinic.
Well,
She has 51%
thank
of
you.
the vote.
I don't know about that, but thank you again, everyone, as always. And thanks, Daeron, for another episode of Putting Up With Me.
It's always a good time.
And Zora.
And Zora. Sorry, Zora. I didn't talk to you as much as I usually do during the breaks. Cue the music. VD is for everybody.
Not just for the few.